from the Mercy One studio.
Support for Faith on Trial and Iowa Catholic Radio provided in part by Imogene Ingredients.
Our freedom of conscience and religion is being challenged by laws and regulations imposed by secular society. It's time to hear from the top Christian litigators in the nation who have come forward to tell us the truth and help us defend our faith.
Hear ye, hear ye. All rise. Faith on Trial with Defender of the Faith, Deacon Mike Mano, is in session.
And good Thursday morning from the Mercy One studio in West Des Moines. I'm Deacon Mike Mano, and I'm here with Gina Knoll. Good morning.
Good morning, Deacon Mike. How are you?
Just fine. Just fine.
Hard to
chilly
get
this
moving.
morning. Yeah.
Yes, it's much different than it was last week in weather. We've gotten some cold and some rain, and
a lot of rain.
Feels very much like fall.
It does. It does. And football.
And football.
NFL
feels like
starts
football.
tonight. Yeah. I don't know how well that's going to go over in empty stadiums.
I don't know. Baseball seemed to go pretty well.
Yeah.
The fake fan noise.
Yeah, they have all those cardboard people there. You know, there's going to be a breakout of the virus among all those cardboard people.
Well, I wasn't really in the mood this morning for the show. It was just too cold and rainy. So
yeah.
I have to tell you, though, the opening music always pumps me up.
Good.
Where does that come from?
That is called The Boys from Wexford.
It's
an Irish ballad, and it commemorates a battle with the English years and years and years ago, and that's where it comes from. Yeah,
very good.
So it ought to pick up everybody's Irish.
That's the Irish know how to celebrate.
That's right.
So if it doesn't put you in a good mood to hear Irish music,
that's
I don't
right.
know what would.
That's right.
Well, today we're dealing with. I forgot to count and check how many days till the election. 50-some.
Yeah, about 54.
Exactly.
Yeah, 53,
so that
something like that
infiltrates everything that we do, including our radio program. So
it certainly does.
Today we have Father Pavone from Priests for
Life. Right.
Yeah.
We'll talk to him about what effect the election is going to have, not only on right to life activities, but let's expand it a little further on religious liberty, because that's a big question mark right now.
Yeah,
what's happening.
And we explore that almost every week.
We do.
That's the purpose of the show.
Then we're going to turn our attention here locally to Intervision's Health Clinic. We're going to have Theresa Welch, who's the executive director of that clinic with us.
They do wonderful things over there.
And, I'm very proud of it. I was, you may know, at the original meeting, organizational meeting.
Oh, I didn't know that. I knew you were on the board.
Where the question was, should we try and do something like this? And the answer was yes, we're going to try. And I think within a year we had that clinic up and running.
Wow.
And then I was on the board there for about, I'm going to say about 6 years, something like that, 5-6 years.
Well,
yeah.
they have really grown.
They have.
Two locations now in
now.
Polk County, which is fabulous.
Mm-hmm. One over on the south side. The original one is still here in West Des Moines, but there's one on Army Post Road.
And they're growing.
Mm-hmm. They're growing.
Thanks to the contributions of probably many of our listeners, as well as other members of the faith community throughout
that's
Iowa.
one of the things that I found when we started this whole trek toward building this thing, that it was easy to raise funds for. And the reason why it was easy to raise funds is because that's where the rubber hit the road. Okay, that's where we're dealing with people who were in unexpected and crisis pregnancies, and it wasn't like trying to lobby the legislature or to pass laws or anything like that seemed to some people a little distant. This was actually hands-on, and so we were able to raise funds fairly easily at the very beginning. Now I don't know how they're doing now. I've been off the board several years, but there were a lot of generous people out there that came forward and said, yeah, we'd like to help these women who are having problems. And they came forward with their checkbook and their prayers, and you can see what has happened.
And I'm really glad that these kinds of centers are not targets of our government as they are in the state and city of New York.
Yeah, but there were a lot of them that were targeted legally. People tried to get them not approved for zoning or whatever. Because I remember before we opened up, I called ADF, Alliance Defending Freedom, and talked to some of my friends there and asked them, what do we need to do? What do we have to watch out for? Fortunately, none of that came to pass. We didn't need any of that information. But
so we are blessed.
We were looking for that something might happen, that we'd be picketed, or somebody go in front of the city council and say, you can't allow this thing to open, or something like that. Even security in the building, we were concerned about. But everything seems to have
worked out well.
It's all worked out well. Thanks be to God.
And saved many children's lives.
Saved many, many, many children.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well,
so we're going to talk.
We're
going to talk to Theresa about that. We're going to talk first to Father Frank Pavone. It could be an interesting program
I'm looking
again
forward
today.
to it.
Yes, you have a prayer to open us up with.
I do. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. God of peace, bring your peace to our violent world, peace in the hearts of all men and women, and peace among the nations of the earth. Turn to your way of love those whose hearts and minds are consumed with hatred. Strengthen us in hope, and give us the wisdom and courage to work tirelessly for a world where true peace and love reign among the nations and in the hearts of all. Amen.
Thank you, Gina. We'll be back in a few minutes with Father Frank Pavone. You're listening to Faith on Trial on Iowa Catholic Radio.
Thank you, Blessman International, for their support of Iowa Catholic Radio. Everyone lives their life 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. How we use that time directly affects if our life will leave a significant impact or not. Each year, Blessman International leads Central Iowans on a 12-day, all-inclusive experience sharing the heart of Christ with children in South Africa. Teams are forming to do something significant in an African child's life. Learn more at blessmaninternational.org. That's blessmaninternational.org.
Is it time for a new roof? Then it could be time for you to get to know Bell Construction. Bell Construction is a roofing company entering its 30th year of business. They specialize in residential re-roofs, light commercial jobs, and have the experience to meet all of your roofing needs with personal service. With Bell Construction, the owner will come to your home or place of business in person to inspect and ensure the quality of work that you deserve. They pride themselves in working with you on a personal basis and making sure you are satisfied. Bell Construction, 515-963-4494.
Thank you, Big Red Q Quick Print, for underwriting the sports report. Family owned and operated since 1980, Big Red Q Quick Print is a full-service print shop ready to help you with all your printing needs with speed and accuracy. Forms, manuals, brochures, letterhead, envelopes, business cards, custom invitations, design, and bindery. Big Red Q Quick Print, located across from Merle Hay Mall. Online at bigredq-desmoines.com. Big Red Q Quick Print. We make printing easy.
What is the best gift ever? Giving a Catholic education is at the top of my list. Your contribution to CTO helps families send their children to our Catholic schools who otherwise could not afford it. In giving to CTO, you receive the best tax credits ever. Pledge or donate online at ctoiowa.org. The bottom line, it's for the kids and their future.
Support for Dowling Catholic Sports on Iowa Catholic Radio is provided in part by Ashworth Vision Clinic. With 2 licensed optometrists, Barbara Sheets, a Dowling graduate, and Dr. Greg Harper, the Ashworth Vision Clinic team provides complete eye exams, contact lenses, glasses, glaucoma testing, and pre- and post-operative care. Ashworth Vision Clinic is located at Ashworth and 60th Street in West Des Moines, 515-440-4610, ashworthvision.com. 515-440-4610, ashworthvision.com. Ashworth Vision Clinic.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and Faith on Trial provided by Paul Martin and Paul Mitchell, owners of Imogene Ingredients. Imogene Ingredients supply specialized feed ingredients for livestock and pet diets to improve maternal and young animal health in both conventional and organic production. And we're back. This is Faith on Trial on Iowa Catholic Radio, and with us is the National Director of Priests for Life, Father Frank Pavone. Father, how are you this morning?
I'm doing great. It's such a joy to be with you again.
Well, thank you. It's a joy to have you here. It's
a
topic that we like to discuss because I don't think it's really discussed enough yet. In some cases, it seems to be over-discussed. But anyway, what I wanted to start us out with today is the effect that the election may or may not have on right-to-life activities and on religious freedom and religious liberties in general. I'm sure you've been pondering this over for quite a while now.
Well, these are two of the biggest areas of concern of the church, not just now, but all throughout history, and they are very much front and center in this election because the two major parties in America are on very different pages when it comes to both topics. Is there a right to life that the government cannot infringe, and is there a right of the church to conduct her affairs in such a way that the government does not evaluate or judge the religious beliefs and practices of a citizen, but rather protects them. Now, on that score, I can speak from a lot of experience, as can a lot of other employers and religious groups, because we had to fight from 2012 through 2016, 17. We had to fight in federal court for the right just to practice our faith when it came to our business practices. And there were, mandates and instructions and threat of fines and so forth. I mean, this is a biblical kind of battle when you think about it. We see in the Old Testament and the New the clash between religious and civil authority. And, the followers of God and the disciples of Christ always saying, we will obey God rather than man, even if that means being put to death. And this is what the martyrs are all about. But we have really, literally, the same dimension of a battle going on now. So it was going to have great impact. It was going to have tremendous impact, this election, on this going forward, not just for the next 4 years, but for the next 40 years. Because why I say that, because as we know, the President and the Senate, the U.S. Senate, are responsible for placing federal judges on the courts. And there again, there's a big divergence. Not only do the parties have different positions, but it gets reflected in the kind of judges they put on the courts. And if judges on the courts are going to uphold religious freedom and are going to uphold the right to life by respecting the laws and respecting the Constitution rather than going according to their own political agendas, we're going to see a transformation that's going to last for decades. I always point out, our great-grandchildren will be reading Supreme Court decisions handed down by Trump-appointed judges and by the judges who will be appointed by whoever is sworn in next January. So it has great import, great impact, great concern for the church.
I've always thought that one of the main reasons why Trump won 4 years ago was the question of who was going to appoint the judges. I thought the judiciary was front and center in the election issues last time.
Well, and the post-election polling bears that out. About 21% of people said that was the Supreme Court, the makeup of the Supreme Court, was their biggest motivating factor. And of that group of voters, the strong majority voted for the president. So that's again on the table now. We've got a new list now, a new additional list of the kind of people he would put on the Supreme Court. Really stellar. I know a number of them personally. Stellar, solid, pro-life and pro-religious freedom people.
I know my name wasn't on the list, and I think it's
well,
down.
Mine wasn't either.
I think it's down in a footnote someplace. If the last lawyer alive, Mike Mano.
Well, really, we have to look also at Catholics at the fact that when you get life right, when you get the right to life correct, when you get a correct position on the freedom of the church, chances are you're going to be right on most of the other issues, too. And when we look up and down the list of issues, we're living at a time now where, our economy is coming back up really strong. And part of the reason for that is, we've gotten rid of these government regulations, which kill jobs and hinder businesses, right? And we've gotten fair trade deals. The church is concerned about fairness in trade deals. We look at the economic teaching of the church. The social doctrine of the church is summed up in a document called the Compendium. It's really a book, but it's an official Vatican document. And I go through that all the time, and you look up and down the line. Getting the world rid of terrorists and strengthening one's national security. That putting your own nation first doesn't mean you don't care about other nations. It's just the opposite. You put yourself in a better position to be able to help them. And on it goes. We're on a very more people today than in 2016 believe the country is going in the right direction, and that's a very encouraging sign also for the Church.
When you talk about Catholic dogma or doctrine, one of the principles in social justice, I guess, is the principle of subsidiarity. And
yes.
One side seems to want to get rid of that, and the other side seems to want to uphold it. Now, traditionally, we refer to it as federalism here, but I think it's an important concept that we need to keep in mind.
It is. The question of, for example, sometimes people make an unfair distinction, and they'll say, well, the Democrats are for the poor, the Republicans don't care about the poor. That's a rash judgment. That's an oversimplification. The fact of the matter is that there are differences in opinion about what's the best way to care for the poor. Maybe the best way to care for the poor is to empower families and empower church ministries and empower individuals to exercise the acts of charity that their faith, not just charity, but justice, that their faith tells them they have to exercise, and get government out of the way and let these other ministries flourish. The other side of the fence, is the idea that, you increase the government bureaucracies and you raise taxes and you let the government step in and do all of this. That's a debate. Those are two different views. It doesn't mean you're less concerned about the poor if you choose one over the other. But what it does mean, as you say, is that the Church needs to look at this from the point of view of subsidiarity. If the family can do something why have the local city council take care of it? If the state can do something well, federal government doesn't have to step in. In fact, that's what we've seen, isn't it, Mike, on this question of some of these this unrest in some of these
That's
cities.
right.
The president has said over and over again, hey, we can't just come in there. They got to ask us. They got to ask us. And he's been waiting for them being the governors and the mayors. Again, the Church's teachings being shown here is subsidiarity. Let the folks on the lower levels do it if they can. Mm-hmm. If they can't, well, then they request the help.
That's right.
It reminds me of the famous phrase that was over and over in I think it was the 1988 election with George Bush Sr. He emphasized personal responsibility. That was his mantra, the 1,000 points of light. As soon as our government understands that, and I really have recognized that the more government does for us, so many people fall out of the habit of helping each other.
Unless we do for
ourselves.
For each other, yes.
Yeah, our tradition of community uplifting is diminished. The food banks don't get as much food from the community. They're waiting for the government to hand it over. So I think you're right on target, and it really exemplifies our Catholic faith and our morals.
Right, yeah.
It does. We need breathing space. I'm at my headquarters right now of Priests for Life, and I can tell you over these last 3.5, 4 years, how many times I've been invited to get onto a conference call. And in fact, there's one going on right now, even as we're having this interview. When we finish, I'm going to be going over to a conference call with.
I'm glad we have priority.
Well, yes. Well, I'm going to be on the phone with the White House again. But the White House reaches out to faith leaders constantly, and here's what we hear on a lot of these calls. The president is and his team have instituted this new policy, and it's going to make it easier for faith-based groups and churches and ministries to do their work because they're not going to have to jump through extra hoops just because they're faith-based. People have to understand there's so many, when you try to do work, in the public sphere, or maybe you're contracting with the government, maybe not, but the fact is that so many times, faith-based groups have to jump through extra hoops, follow more restrictions and regulations, and sometimes feel like they're being asked to compromise or hide their faith, or put it off to the side. We have an administration now, and we've had in the past, like you said, George Bush Sr. and George W. as well. President Reagan and so forth. They appreciated and enhanced and empowered the people of faith across America to do their work. They said, "You guys do your work, the country's going to be better." And so, we are in a period now where, praise God, these extra hoops that we have to jump through are being taken away, and it's making it easier to do our work.
Yes. Well, and speaking of leaders, I noticed this, if we could just diverge for just a minute from the effects of this election on religious liberties, I noticed that this letter written to Planned Parenthood about their endorsement of Margaret Sanger and push towards racism that the black leaders throughout the country signed and sent to Planned Parenthood this week, asking them to dismantle their racist practices in their institution. Any comments, or has this letter taken... I haven't heard the press pick up on it yet, and I'm not sure Planned Parenthood has even responded.
I don't think so, not yet anyway. It will. Of course, on our Priests for Life team, we have Alveda King working hard in this whole area. Yeah, and, she has pointed out that, look, we are one race. Racism is an evil that manifests itself in many forms. But a lot of the current complaining about racism in our country is misdirected, Alveda and others are saying, because it's not, what are the policies in our country right now that would prevent a young black man or a young black woman from, when they do the necessary work, get the education, work hard at your job and whatever it is that you feel called to do in life, that they could not advance in American society? I mean, we've been through 8 years with a president who was black. We have a black Supreme Court justice. We've got leaders in every sector of our society. I mean, is there really, when people talk about systemic racism in our country, it's sometimes you got to scratch your head and say, what in the world are they talking about? On the other hand, when you look at the abortion industry, when you look at Planned Parenthood, if you want to find systemic racism, this is where people need to start looking, because the organization and the industry were founded on that idea of eliminating less desirable, in their view, members of the population. That's outrageous. And, in this climate now, some are beginning to realize that, hey, yeah, this applies to the abortion industry. But even deeper, we have to realize abortion itself is the worst. John Paul II called it the most unjust form of discrimination because, again, it's looking down on a whole class of human beings and saying that they're less valuable than the rest of us, which, of course, is not true.
Well, and beyond that, Margaret Sanger and their founders might have been racist, but it's a springboard for their actions in our current culture that speak louder than words themselves. That's right. The level of abortions in the black community is so much higher than the population, and their centers being placed in communities that are predominantly black or African American, and even more recently, the complaints from their staff that are black or African American, identifying the institution as being prejudiced against them or treating them different than their white staff.
That's right. That was an interesting revelation that came out, and it is a culture. It's a culture within the abortion industry that is indeed very racist.
I'm just kind of wondering if anybody has torn down a Margaret Sanger statue.
Yeah, right.
They seem to they're going after George Washington and Christopher Columbus, but here you have a committed racist. They're letting her stay up.
Exactly.
They have, even on their website, they celebrate her in great tradition, because there's documents that are 100 pages long that talk about all the wonderful things that she's done, and they haven't taken them down. So I'm wondering if that'll have any effect.
That's for it. All right, what do we do, Father, for the election besides pray?
Well, I want to invite people to volunteer. We're in an important moment right now where it's voter contact that makes the difference, and we've set up a site called ProLifeVolunteer.com. Anyone from anywhere in the country signing up over there, it asks a few simple questions. What are you willing to do? What would you like to do? How much time do you have? We need people making phone calls. We need people knocking on doors. And we, working together with various other organizations, have a plan all mapped out. We offer training where we know who we're targeting, persuadable voters. And that's how elections progress at this stage of the game. Knocking on those doors, making those phone calls, handing out literature. Anyone that wants to give even just a couple of hours of help Believe me, now's the time. We no longer have just an election day. We have an election season. It's 2 months of voting, and it's already begun. The first state, North Carolina, has already begun sending out its absentee ballots. So we've got now September and October are literally voting season, the voting 2 months. So everyone, please take a few extra hours, step up to the plate, help out, because a lot hangs in the balance.
And again, what was that website?
ProLifeVolunteer.com.
ProLifeVolunteer.com. Very good. And your website, in case people need more information about you
and
what you're doing.
Our overall website of Priests for Life is endabortion.us. Endabortion.us.
Very good. Father, before we let you go, would you give us your blessing, please?
Oh, gladly. Well, may the Lord send His Holy Spirit upon all of you, all of us. May He give you peace and joy, answer all your prayers, protect you and your loved ones, and confirm you in your mission to build His kingdom. And may He bless you, the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. Father Frank Pavone, National Director of Priests for Life. This is Faith on Trial on Iowa Catholic Radio, and we will be right back after these messages.
Thank you, Blessman International, for their support of Iowa Catholic Radio. Everyone lives their life 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. How we use that time directly affects if our life will leave a significant impact or not. Each year, Blessman International leads Central Iowans on a 12-day, all-inclusive experience sharing the heart of Christ with children in South Africa. Teams are forming to do something significant in an African child's life. Learn more at blessmaninternational.org. That's blessmaninternational.org.
Is it time for a new roof? Then it could be time for you to get to know Bell Construction. Bell Construction is a roofing company entering its 30th year of business. They specialize in residential re-roofs, light commercial jobs, and have the experience to meet all of your roofing needs with personal service. With Bell Construction, the owner will come to your home or place of business in person to inspect and ensure the quality of work that you deserve. They pride themselves in working with you on a personal basis and making sure you are satisfied. Bell Construction, 515-963-4494.
What is the best gift ever? Giving a Catholic education is at the top of my list. Your contribution to CTO helps families send their children to our Catholic schools who otherwise could not afford it. In giving to CTO, you receive the best tax credits ever. Pledge or donate online at ctoiowa.org. The bottom line, it's for the kids and their future.
Support for Dowling Catholic Sports on Iowa Catholic Radio is provided in part by Ashworth Vision Clinic. With 2 licensed optometrists, Barbara Sheets, a Dowling graduate, and Dr. Greg Harper, the Ashworth Vision Clinic team provides complete eye exams, contact lenses, glasses, glaucoma testing, and pre- and post-operative care. Ashworth Vision Clinic is located at Ashworth and 60th Street in West Des Moines, 515-440-4610, ashworthvision.com. 515-440-4610, ashworthvision.com. Ashworth Vision Clinic.
Thank you, Dental Associates, for underwriting Dowling Catholic Sports 365. With over 40 years' experience, Dental Associates is a group dental practice with the mission of promoting optimum health and well-being to all patients, providing preventative, restorative, and cosmetic dentistry for the entire family. Message underwritten by Dr. Kenton Gleichman, Dr. Steve Karbaka, Dr. Christine Mulcahy, and Dr. Ben Nagel. Dental Associates, addressing your smile, needs, and dreams. Online at DesMoines-DentalAssociates.com.
Here's your forecast on Iowa Catholic Radio. Low pressure to our south will direct some rain up into our area through the afternoon hours, and it will stay cool with our high only around 56. Few showers possible overnight and low 50s, and then more rain on tap by tomorrow afternoon, gusty in mid-60s. The weather is brought to you by Divine Treasures, a Catholic book and gift store serving the Des Moines community for over 25 years. I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton on Iowa Catholic Radio.
And we're back. This is Faith on Trial on Iowa Catholic Radio. I'm Deacon Mike Mann, and I'm here with my friend Gina Knoll. And we're had an interesting talk with Father Frank Pavone, and now we're going to localize that a little bit. We have with us the Executive Director of Intervision's Health Clinic, Theresa Welch. Theresa, how are you this morning?
I'm good. How are you?
Fine. Just for those that aren't familiar with Intervisions, why don't you explain real quickly what Intervisions does?
Well, Intervisions is a crisis pregnancy clinic. We have women that come in that are have unplanned pregnancies, and they don't know where to go, and they don't know what to do. They might be contemplating abortion. They might be deciding whether they're going to parent or place for adoption. So we have them come into our clinic, and we do counseling with them to pray with them, hopefully make life-affirming decisions for their families.
At the beginning of the hour, I was mentioning here that I was involved right from the beginning with the start of Intervisions. I'm not involved anymore, but it's amazing to see what you have done since I left. I guess I wasn't standing in the way anymore. And you have a second location, and you've expanded your services, and it's a wonderful, wonderful facility. Well, why don't you give us the addresses in case and phone numbers in case anybody out there is interested?
Absolutely. Our west location is at 1355 50th Street, and that's Suite 400 in West Des Moines.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then our second location that we just opened last October is 500 Army Post Road, Suite 100, and that is in Des Moines. And number is the same for both clinics. So that's 515-440-2273.
Very good. All right. Now that we've got all of that out of the way, I want to talk to you about a couple of things that you do that I think many people don't know that you do, and one of them is this abortion pill reversal.
Right. Yeah, we started that last October. We received a grant from Focus on the Family for all of our nursing staff. I'm a nurse as well. All of our nursing staff to take this instruction on how to reverse an abortion when a woman starts the abortion pill process. So that has been amazing. You didn't think that we were going to get so many referrals. And we've had 4, and that doesn't sound like a lot, but statistically that is a lot. And so we're very pleased to have been able to help 4 women start that reverse process.
On a previous episode of Faith on Trial, we talked about the center in Iowa City that's part of a quote-unquote prototype or research operation that's distributing these pills via telemedicine. Have you noticed an uptick, or is that the reason you're getting more requests for that assistance?
Well, the reason why we wanted to start this program was because in Iowa, around 68% of the abortions that are performed are the abortion pill. And that number just keeps rising. And then we also saw that women were able to order the abortion pill literally on Amazon. And we weren't sure that we believed that, so we actually tried it up until the point where we hit, pay for this, and you're able to do it very easily. If you Google abortion pill, it will come up with ways to get it. And, that's, as a nurse, having any type of a procedure done without seeing a physician, it's so dangerous.
Yeah.
And we just wanted to save these women that if they take this pill and they change their mind, they don't think that there's any other way to stop this process. We wanted to offer that to them.
Let me ask you about that process then. You get the pill, and you take the pill. How long do you have to change your mind and to get a reversal of that?
Up to 72 hours.
72 hours.
So the first pill, mifepristone, is given in the abortion clinic.
Okay.
The staff gives that to them. And then the second pill is taken 48 to 72 hours after the first pill. And what the first pill does is it blocks the progesterone to the baby. So that's the food to the baby.
Mm-hmm.
And then the mifepristone, which is the second pill, is the one that opens up the cervix and tells the baby. So if we can go in there and we can start progesterone after they've taken that first pill, before they've taken the second pill, we could be able to reverse the effects of the first pill and sustain that pregnancy.
And how successful are you in doing that? You say you have 4 cases. Did they produce live births then?
Well, 3 weeks ago on Saturday, we had a baby born from the reversal process.
Oh, good.
Wonderful.
Good.
Yeah.
Now,
Praise God.
Because of the first pill that they take, is there any physical damage to the fetus by the time it's developed and is born? In other words, are there any birth defects associated with what they started to do?
There's not been any statistics showing any birth defects at all, and they have researched this quite a bit. Now, if you talk to the other side, of course, they have other information, but we know that progesterone is a natural hormone that your body produces, and so giving progesterone helps sustain pregnancies. Dr. McKernan, who is our medical director, he does this with pregnancies all the time that are women who have had miscarriages and they are threatening a miscarriage again. He progesterone, and that helps them sustain the pregnancy. So, in the same token, it happens when someone is starting to do an abortion.
So this is a technique that was used prior to abortion pills.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So it should
it
be.
It happens a lot in pregnancies when they may be in danger of miscarrying.
Okay. All right. Now, how many queries have you received about this reversal?
Well, we've had 4 actually come into the clinic. We've received several more. Okay. So there's an option line through Heartbeat International that they can call. They can also call our clinic directly. But if they call through Heartbeat then gives them our information to give us a call. So we've had several phone calls from women who maybe are contemplating, I just took this pill. I don't know if this is what I want to do. Now, all of those haven't come in to our clinic, and we have referred some on because they're in a different part of the state. Okay. So, and it would be too long for them to get to us. Right. And there's a center in Waterloo, the same thing. So we've had several inquiries. Only 4 we've been able to complete.
Okay. Now, are you finding that these women that have taken the first pill, you say they would get that in the clinic, have they been pressured to take that pill? Because I know there are a number of people that have told me. Of course, I worked one time in a drug rehab center where they were pressured into an abortion. Didn't really want one, but they were pressured into it. I'm wondering if, since the pill is nice and easy, I suppose, to take or to swallow or whatever, that people can be easily pressured to take that pill.
Right. It probably because what they were finding that they're saying to people, and this is from patients who have come to us, and they talk to the abortion clinics about the procedure, and so but then they decided not to take the abortion pill and come to us and see their other options. They said that they'll tell them is, you know what, it's just a blob of tissue. It's not really a baby yet. And so you're really not doing anything. It's not going to hurt the baby. You're just really making it easier for your life because of an imposition at this point in your life. And we can just take care of this. And no one will ever have to know.
Yeah.
Well, I was just going to add that on top of that, that's kind of a fallacy. There's a bazillion stories of these young ladies taking this medication and suffering some severe pain and immense bleeding and weeks and weeks of issues from taking on this path of destruction.
One of the other problems that I think we run into with these abortion clinics is that I don't think they're all testing for STDs. And I know if you have an STD and you undergo an abortion, I believe that can sterilize you.
Yes, because it's just pushing that all over your reproductive system, and
but they're not warned about that. The abortion clinics don't warn them about that.
No, they don't. They don't. Now, when we have a woman come in and she's pregnant, we do STD testing along with her pregnancy test.
Right. That's kind of automatic there, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is.
And then that medical information is provided to them that if you go and you do have an abortion without clearing up the STD first, you may be sterilized.
Right.
Correct.
If they still choose abortion after being at the clinic,
right,
they'll be better educated. They're very well informed.
Right. Now, speaking about having the abortion, you do post-abortion counseling there.
Yes, we do have women who have had an abortion that either immediately or years after are still suffering the trauma of that. And although we don't physically do the counseling in our office, we refer to a couple different agencies that do the abortion counseling. One is Restored by Grace, and we probably use her the most because we're the most associated with her. And Laura Limix is an amazing person and has an amazing story and does such a good job with these ladies, makes them feel comfortable, like what they did, they have so much guilt, and she helps to alleviate that, to guide them through Christ to forgiveness of themselves.
Yeah, and that weighs very heavily on women that have had abortions in the past.
Right. They have so many issues that can surface many after the abortion.
Right.
Alcohol, drug abuse, emotional pain, nightmares.
Right. That they may not directly relate to the abortion, but
that's right.
But
yeah.
It's present.
Yeah. And the abuse, the sexual abuse, a lot of these women face too.
Right.
Because they end up being somebody's sex toy. And
right,
and
they don't feel worthy.
Yeah, and so their life is crap now, and they don't feel like they have anything to live for.
What a beautiful service that you offer to them.
Now let's talk about something else that I think you do, and that has to do with the woman that comes in and says, I found myself pregnant. I don't know where Dad is, but I know that I'm a part-time waitress someplace, and I can't support another child. How do you help that person?
Well, we are very, very fortunate to have amazing donors, as you know, Deacon Mike, that help us with these types of things all the time. We've had women come in that are going to school full-time, working full-time, and find themselves pregnant, don't have any support. How am I going to have this baby and raise this baby if I have to work full-time and go to school full-time? So we've reached out to our donors before and asked their help. They've come back with a scholarship that we can offer the woman that will enable her not to have to work, that she can go to school, and that gives her an option that, yes, you can parent. There's stories like that every single day. Younger girls whose parents have kicked them out of the house. They have no place to go. We help them find housing. The things that are causing them not to want to parent seem insurmountable to them. To us, they may not see them like a big deal, but to them, it's an obstacle that they can't even think about. So we help them to be able to show them that, you know what, you can do it. We can help you. You can parent or place for adoption. You don't have to have this abortion. And that all comes from our incredible donors.
And do you have, for lack of a better word, graduates from these programs that can be mentors or support these women in these crisis situations?
Well, I mean, yes, they could. Because of HIPAA, we have to keep all that information confidential. But we have had, at our galas, we have testimonials from women who have come to us for services and have chosen life and tell their story. At our gala, we also always have a testimonial for our Christmas appeal, and there are women who are just saying, look, I was in the same situation. I went to engines, and they helped allow me to know that I could parent or place for adoption.
Well, that's really good because I know our society has so many role models that are on the other side. I had an abortion, and now I'm successful.
Yeah.
That's such a horrible message.
And I think it's important to remember that interventions in places like this are there for the woman and the baby, and they help them all along. I saw something on Facebook the other day that says pro-life just means pro-birth. After they're born, we don't care about them. Well, that's not true. We do care about these people, and places like this stand up and do a good job in helping them. Theresa, before we get out of here, and I don't want to forget to let you give your web page and your contact information if anybody is listening and wants to follow up on any of this.
We must have lost her.
Did we lose Theresa? I think we must have. She's not answering.
Well, she did give us her phone number earlier.
Okay. Well, that's all right. She got disconnected. But anyway, if you type into your browser Intervisions Health Clinic, it'll come up, and you can find out what it is that Intervisions is doing. And if you have any questions or comments, or you need any assistance, you can check there.
Contact or refer anyone you know that needs a little bit more
and
help.
Their switchboard number, I guess it goes to both. Is we got her back?
Yeah, hang on.
We got her back?
I think
we do.
Oh, good. Well, we were giving out your contact information, so why don't you give it again, and how people can contact you if they need help or assistance, or importantly, if they have a few extra bucks laying around and like send some your way to help out some of these women.
That would be wonderful. Yes, we're located in two locations. The first one is in West Des Moines. That's our original location at 1355 50th Street, Suite 400, and that is in West Des Moines, 50266. And our second location is on the south side of Des Moines, and that's at 500 Army Post Road, Suite 100, and that's Des Moines 50315. All of our mail we usually have directed to our West Des Moines location, but our phone number is also 515-440-2273.
And your web address?
Is www.ivhcare.org.
And do you have any events coming up?
We do. We have the Knights of Columbus Dinner Dance coming up on the 18th.
Will it be virtual, or is that actually
it will be in person, socially distanced with masks, and
how do you
it'll
socially
be at the
distanced dance?
Well, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do that, though. We have to do that. It's a responsible thing to do. So it's going to be at Jasper Winery, and that's a very big area where we're able to spread tables out, and we have a tent outside, dance floor. It's separating everything, and Jasper Winery is pretty good sticklers about keeping us in line, so we obviously are going to follow that.
Yeah, they have been following the rules real closely.
Yes.
And there's also a silent auction, so if you're looking for something fun to add to your collection of winnings, called, come on out.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting in the office with all of the packages right now, and they look pretty awesome.
Yeah, I
Very
bet
good.
you are.
Save one for Gina.
I love our silent auctions. Sorry.
All right, Theresa, thank you for joining us today. We certainly appreciate it, and we wish you luck, and you are in our prayers. You are doing God's work, and we appreciate all your efforts there.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
Certainly. You're listening to Faith on Trial, Iowa Catholic Radio. We will be right back after these messages.
Thank you, Blessman International, for their support of Iowa Catholic Radio. Everyone lives their life 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. How we use that time directly affects if our life will leave a significant impact or not. Each year, Blessman International leads Central Iowans on a 12-day, all-inclusive experience sharing the heart of Christ with children in South Africa. Teams are forming to do something significant in an African child's life. Learn more at blessmaninternational.org. That's blessmaninternational.org.
Is it time for a new roof? Then it could be time for you to get to know Bell Construction. Bell Construction is a roofing company entering its 30th year of business. They specialize in residential re-roofs, light commercial jobs, and have the experience to meet all of your roofing needs with personal service. With Bell Construction, the owner will come to your home or place of business in person to inspect and ensure the quality of work that you deserve. They pride themselves in working with you on a personal basis and making sure you are satisfied. Bell Construction, 515-963-4494.
What is the best gift ever? Giving a Catholic education is at the top of my list. Your contribution to CTO helps families send their children to our Catholic schools who otherwise could not afford it. In giving to CTO, you receive the best tax credits ever. Pledge or donate online at ctoiowa.org. The bottom line, it's for the kids and their future.
Support for Dowling Catholic Sports on Iowa Catholic Radio is provided in part by Ashworth Vision Clinic. With 2 licensed optometrists, Barbara Sheets, a Dowling graduate, and Dr. Greg Harper, the Ashworth Vision Clinic team provides complete eye exams, contact lenses, glasses, glaucoma testing, and pre- and post-operative care. Ashworth Vision Clinic is located at Ashworth and 60th Street in West Des Moines, 515-440-4610, ashworthvision.com. 515-440-4610, ashworthvision.com. Ashworth Vision Clinic.
Thank you, Dental Associates, for underwriting Dowling Catholic Sports 365. With over 40 years' experience, Dental Associates is a group dental practice with the mission of promoting optimum health and well-being to all patients, providing preventative, restorative, and cosmetic dentistry for the entire family. Message underwritten by Dr. Kenton Gleichman, Dr. Steve Karbaka, Dr. Christine Mulcahy, and Dr. Ben Nagel. Dental Associates, addressing your smile, needs, and dreams. Online at DesMoines-DentalAssociates.com.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and Faith on Trial provided by Paul Martin and Paul Mitchell, owners of Imogene Ingredients. Imogene Ingredients supply specialized feed ingredients for livestock and pet diets to improve maternal and young animal health in both conventional and organic production. Information about Pharmatan and other products at ImogeneIngredients.com. Paul and Paul are members of St. Augustine's Knights of Columbus and encourage their brother knights to keep standing for their faith. Back. You're listening to Faith on Trial on Iowa Catholic Radio. Interesting show again today, I think.
Exactly, and I'm really glad that we continue to address issues that are important for our listeners and all citizens about how important it is to vote and how important it is to vote with your values. And I liked what Father Pavone pointed out in that as long as you have a strong respect and value for life, that foundation spreads to all the rest of the values and morals in government and society.
That's right. And we can see that how the moral fabric of the country is being eroded and how along with that erosion, we're seeing an erosion in the state of politics today.
Right.
Yeah.
And important in connecting with each other, you know, and I think part of the disadvantage of this pandemic is that we don't grow as a civilization in connecting with each other because we're so isolated. So I really was glad to hear him talk about that. And I got on his website, prolifevolunteer.com, and there's all, I mean, I could do probably 2 or 3 of these things. This is really helpful, you know, distributing literature and organizing events and driving persons to polling place. I'll be interested to see how they organize all of this.
Yeah, he's got a good political mind and how to set up a campaign.
He does.
And do that. Of course,
I noticed he said he was about to get on a conference call with the White House.
White House.
I'm wondering if the Biden campaign is also meeting with him to
I doubt that.
Talk about
I doubt that, but he's going to tell the president, you know, I was with Deacon Mike and Gina. Sorry, I'm late, and the president's going to say, "Oh, Deacon Mike and Gina,
right.
When do I get on?" No, I think it was very interesting. And then Theresa with Intervisions. I think that's an important thing that we have in this community, a resource for people that need it. I know they have saved many, 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 many babies from the butchering abortionists that want to just chop those little kids up while they're in the womb. And that's...
well, it's a resource that is just a gem to our community, and it warms my heart that we're able to highlight that on this program. I know a young lady that worked for me once mentioned that she was so scared for her friend because her friend thought she was pregnant and she didn't know where to go to get an abortion, and she asked me that, and I said, oh, let's make sure your friend understands all of her options. So I was able to look up the Intervisions phone number and give it to the young lady who worked for me, who then passed it along to her friend. I think she was a student at Iowa State at the time. But you can see how students, young ladies who are in school, would be so panicked about their situation. That's not something that they expect. And, you know, they're kind of, birth control and don't think about it. And yet then they end up pregnant because they're just not as well educated in how these things happen and what
especially
to do
when they're away
in
from
that
home
situation.
And they're scared and lonely. How do I tell my parents? You know,
right?
And how do I tell Mr. Right who's turning out to be Mr. Wrong right now.
Maybe.
And and it's a very difficult and lonely decision that they have to make. And there are people here that will help them with that.
Right.
Will provide them. One of the things that I remember when I was on the board there, they never, they always gave them factual information. You know,
no pressure.
No pressure on them one way or another, because they had to make their own decision, and they had to respect the woman's autonomy at that point. So they weren't trying to pressure anybody into anything, but they gave them the facts, and then they told them what they can do to help. And I think that's the best you can do right now. And they've been very successful in doing that.
Yes, they have.
Yeah.
And I know that not all of their clients will choose life, but at least they've been very well educated.
Right. And even if they don't choose life, they're told, you can come back anytime. We can help you.
Right.
They're
Post-abortive care.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right. They're very... All right. That takes us right up to the end of our time here. So let's end with our prayer to St. Michael. St. Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle. Be our protection against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray, and do thou, Prince of the heavenly host, by the power of God, thrust into hell Satan and all the evil spirits who prowl about the world, seeking the ruin of souls.
Amen.
Amen. That's it for this week. Thank you for listening, and until next week, have a blessed and peaceful week.
Our freedom of conscience and religion is being challenged by laws and regulations imposed by secular society. Faith on Trial, with Defender of the Faith, Deacon Mike Mano. Faith on Trial, Thursdays at 10 a.m. on Iowa Catholic Radio, iowacatholicradio.com, and the Iowa Catholic Radio app.
Support for Faith on Trial and Iowa Catholic Radio provided in part by Imogene Ingredients.